Trash talk is kind of an interesting part of sport, above all elite sport, because it's visible, it's incredibly emotional, it's exciting to watch.
What are we doing? You guys are
But its real significance is practical. At elite levels, it can be directly affecting how players think, feel, and ultimately how they perform.
What are you doing? Hey, Sam, stand up now!
The mistake is to label trash talk as positive or negative. It's just a tool.
The second teleport's behind. You've got to be joking. It wants to take the fight.
And it's a tool that can help performance when it's applied well and with intent, and it's one that if it's left to go crazy, it ultimately fucks up the performance.
Yo, what I just did to Mako, this kid's retiring after this game. I'm 30, bro!
Yo, what did Balance say last time? Keep running it down. You can't call for...
Is it just me, or does it seem like there's way more trash talk in Pro Valorant? It seems like every official match, there's somebody trying to pop off and make a name for themselves.
Ah! That's why they signed him!
But this begs the question, why do pros do this? Is trash talk just showmanship, or could it actually give you an advantage in the game? To answer this question, we hit up our new performance coach, David McGowan.
Hi guys, my name's David McGowan. I'm the performance director at Sentinels.
David is the GOAT when it comes to competition. This guy was in the 2004 Athens Olympics and has since coached over 30 other Olympians.
I come from a background in traditional sport. I've worked in esports since 2020.
So, getting right into it, could you elaborate on the idea of trash talk being a method of improving your performance?
So high performance depends on optimal arousal. For some players, the right emotional charge sharpens the reaction time, increases aggression, strengthens the willingness to step forward and do something crazy.
Quickly with the light speed. Yo, Meteor, can you even shoot back or no?
A brief, well-timed exchange of trash, I call it, can flip the narrative between participating and dominating. But again, it depends on the player. Ultimately, it helps some players to kind of access a more assertive version of themselves.
He's barely on any sort of life at all. Hanging on by a thread, yet still navigates the danger.
So the second thing is it can create like a psychological disturbance to your opposition, which is pretty obvious. So ultimately, high performance is about decision-making under pressure. So when you create an extra pressure, sort of an unknown for opposition, you can break that concentration for them. You can break them, get them out of their zone. So it serves in the purpose where you're throwing a spanner in the works. So when an opponent is busy responding emotionally, they will rarely execute tactically. Another positive is it reinforces internal belief and identity. So when used between teammates, it can build sort of a collective confidence and an edge. Teams that genuinely believe their own important moments tend to play like it. So it's kind of, you're living the narrative that you're saying. In that context, verbal aggression it's not a distraction. It's a form of shared language that supports a high-performance identity. So it creates an internal narrative for a team. Common enemy, let's go do this.
I always knew the second point that David brought up, how trash talk is a method of disrupting your opponents. But the idea of using it as a method of establishing your own team's narrative is new to me. The fact that you're almost manifesting success by juicing up your own teammates almost feels like some woo-woo self-help shit. But who am I to disagree? I mean, David has won more than I ever will. But that being said, there has to be some downsides to trash talking, right? If it only has positives, we'd see every player shouting across the stage after every play.
What I said was, I mean, we talk about it as being a tool, so there's positives to the tool, but I think it's like any other tool. If it's used wrong, it can be a complete disaster. Tools only are useful when they support the objective. It becomes a liability when it undermines the execution of the plan. One of the most common risks is that it shifts attention away from the controllables within the game, and the fastest way to mess up a performance is to move further away from the controllables. Verbal battles can easily pull players onto like an ego contest.
So it seems like there's a fine line between using trash talk as a way to improve your own performance and letting it get out of hand. It speaks to how fragile performance is, how one moment you can be in complete control, and the next moment you're like Marty McFly getting called a chicken.
Nobody calls me chicken.
But there's another aspect of trash talk I want to investigate. I'm a fan of traditional sports, particularly basketball.
Inbounds a card right to Jordan. Time winding down. Michael for three. Yeah!
There's legends about Michael Jordan and how you should never trash talk him because he'll take it personally.
It became personal with me.
I want to know about how trash talk can actually wake up some players and make them perform at another level.
Why not? Why not? Can't do him like that. A dirty ace of John QT.
So excessive or poorly timed comments often motivate the opposition. They supply a narrative of disrespect that fuels resolve. Well, few things energize a comeback like proving someone they're wrong or someone disrespecting you and kind of putting them back in their place. So from a strategic standpoint, you never want to hand your opponent like emotional fuel. So I think in the case of Jordan, this is it's like a beehive. You know, a beehive is harmless unless you smash it with a stick. So I think in the case of trash talk, a lot of the time, you know, most players are harmless until you start smashing them with a stick, and then, you know, they're going to come back and sting you. Intensity has an optimal range. So the trash talk can bring that to the optimal range.
I have to punt in the open.
He dropped. Nice! Let's go! We want it! We fucking want it!
But it can also push it over the optimal range. So as soon as it's starting to push it over in that, then you get the effect of it influencing decision making and basically taking you out of your own controllable environment. So you have this a lovely gauge where you can see it, you can feel it, you can sense where a team is on that gauge. The shit talking at the right moment is going to bring that up to that perfect performance area. And the same goes the other way. You know, sometimes you can have a pretty docile team, and by shit talking them, it brings them up to their optimal level of emotional control.
It sounds like some players or teams just have that dog in them, like Jordan. The scary thing is not knowing if some offhand comment is going to awaken a demon. But what about for the rest of us? I know that when somebody calls me out in the chat, I tend to get in my own head a little bit. How can I overcome this and turn into my version of Michael Jordan?
So when a player receives shit talk, it goes somewhere internally. It enters sort of emotional processing systems. So the player is always in complete control of how they process that information. I always see it as a gift. So if someone's talking shit, it's a gift because it's going to fire me up. And you know, there's two ways. You use it as something positive, or you use it as something which you start questioning. And I think for anyone who's involved in any level of sport or in any level of high performance, that's a skill that you get over time, but ultimately it's a skill you must have. So you need to learn your own processing system. And there isn't really a right or a wrong way. The only way is the way that works for you. So you can receive it as a gift, as long as it doesn't tickle you emotionally, which takes you out of the things that you control.
Okay! Are you kidding?
Guys are so bad, bro.
So everyone will have their own coping mechanisms. But again, coping sounds like such a victimized thing. You know, you're not a victim by getting shit talked to. Again, you see it as a gift. This person's trying to fire me up, and teach yourself that it'll bring the best out of you. And then defining the best is it doesn't stop me from doing A, B, and C. In the best environment, it even flows into team dynamics. As teammates, we'll sort of provide players support and help them keep them grounded. The destination matters more than the volume of words. So how the message is handled determines whether it becomes leverage or liability.
So it sounds like I have some soul searching to do and find out my optimal way of processing the pressure shit talk puts on me. Maybe I need to work on my confidence and start saying some shit back to achieve that optimal performance. Thank you so much to David for sitting down with me and talking about the psychological effects of trash talk. Be sure to keep an eye out for more content with David, as well as our vlogs here on YouTube and the newly revamped Sen Society, where you'll see David in action working with our players so that they can perform their best on game day.